Hello, folks. I hope you're well this afternoon or potentially morning. I think it's still morning in WA. Thanks for joining us today for this Church's information session about Safe Water September. Before we kick off, I just want to acknowledge that wherever we're calling in from in Australia, we are calling in from Aboriginal lands, and I just want to pay my respects to elders past and present. Acknowledge that this is land that has been cared for and has been stewarded for thousands and thousands of years by people put here by God to care for it, and who have a lot to teach us about ways to live alongside our environment. My name is Mitch. I'm part of the Global Mission Partners team. My role is to coordinate, encourage and empower young people and leaders of young people to participate in God's mission locally, nationally, and globally. I'm calling in from the land of the Bunurong people, the Bunurong people on the southern Mornington Peninsula, where it is frankly freezing today. And not all that pleasant. So if you hear a buzzing in the background of this call, that's a little space heater under my desk. This afternoon is a webinar format information session. So by default, you won't be able to chat or turn on your mic or camera or anything like that. If you do have a question, use the raise hand button at the bottom of your screen, and then I'll know that you've got a question to ask, and we'll have some points during the webinar that I'll pause and ask you to share. I'll make you a contributor. You'll be able to turn on your mic and camera or put a message in the chat. I just want to flag that this is being recorded. So if you do turn on your mic or camera, just be aware that that will also be recorded, and that recording will be made available on the internet. So if you'd prefer not to have your face or voice on the internet, feel free to use the chat option, but still process is the same. Use the raise hand button to get started. Cool. So what is Safe Water September? Well, Safe Water September is an annual fundraising challenge organised by Global Mission Partners, which is the Churches of Christ International Aid and Development Arm and International Mission Arm. You can learn more about Global Mission Partners at gmp.org.au. And Safe Water September is raising funds for safe water projects implemented by Global Mission Partners' local partners in Zimbabwe, Vanuatu, and Bangladesh. And it's also a great opportunity for young people to learn about mission and development, God's call to justice, God's call to care for people who have been marginalized, who have been impoverished, and learn a bit about how Churches of Christ in particular engages in those processes, but also take inspiration and learn lessons that will apply locally, nationally, and globally. So the challenge itself is fairly straightforward. For the whole month of September, you're drinking just water. So no coffee, juice, tea, milkshakes, anything like that. Food as normal, but the only thing you're allowed to drink for the full month of September is water. While you're doing that, you're inviting friends, family, relatives, co-workers, colleagues, peers to donate to your profile on the Safe Water September website. And the money that's raised through this process goes to implementing much needed safe water projects. So why do we need to be doing a fundraiser like this? Well, water is a core aspect of global development. Without easy access to safe water, human flourishing is severely impacted. Water has impacts on health, it has impacts on income generation, food security, and even education. Very hard to go to school if you are unwell with a stomach bug that you've picked up from a dirty water source. Safe water is also a human right. It's essential and it's protected. Every human being has the right to have enough water for personal and domestic use, which is between 50 to 100 litres of water per day. This water has to be safe, it has to be affordable, it has to be within 1,000 metres of the home, kilometre of the home, and collection time should not exceed 30 minutes. That's the standard set by having water as a human right. Obviously, that's still, we can do better than that. We can do better than water within 1 kilometre. We can do better than it taking 30 minutes to collect water. And those are some of the goals that our international partners who are implementing these projects have. 2.2 billion people still lack access to safely managed drinking water, and 3.5 billion people still lack safely managed sanitation, including 419 million who practice open defecation. Not a great practice, because when rain comes through, it can wash the waste into water sources and contaminate them, creating big problems. So what's our response? Safe water has a huge positive impact on almost every aspect of human life. Improving access to water, sanitation and hygiene globally could save 1.4 million lives per year and prevent the deaths of around 1,000 children under 5 per day. Safe water empowers communities to grow food for nutrition and profit, and people can start businesses to generate an income. And part of building community resilience in the face of climate change is having safe and reliable access to safe water. We work with partners in countries, particularly Zimbabwe, where climate change and drought are already making themselves sorely felt. So having these wells, these boreholes installed, makes communities much more resilient in the face of ongoing climate change. One of the fun things about safe water, is that it also has an impact on gender equality, which is not necessarily something you'd expect on its face. This is because the burden of water collection disproportionately falls on women and girls. It's seen as women's work in most cultures. This added burden prevents women from taking on active roles in community leadership and prevents them, in some cases, from getting an education. And I want to show you a video now of some of the impacts that our Safe Water partners in Zimbabwe have had on communities. This is the story of a woman named Odalia, who I had the pleasure of meeting in 2024 when we took a discovery trip over there. We took some Safe Water September participants to visit the projects that they'd been supporting, and we got to meet Odalia. So I'm going to share her story now, and we'll come back and I'll tell you a bit more about the way Safe Water September has an impact on communities overseas, but also at home.
Chinosaraje mai vane vakasenga mutoro wezvinorema. Mvura ikanzi iri kure zvakadii, anotongoshingairira kuti anoiteka. Nokuti vanonzi mai kunoindai moteka mvura munoti iri kure. Chinhu kachiri kure hakuna unochida. Ndio patatanga kutoona kuti takumwa mvura yakanaka. Asi izvezvi takuona nyasha vana baba vakutogona kuti isengera namabhara. These days vari kungomanya namabhara nengoro.
Saka iko zvino takasungunuka chaizvo nezvamakaita kuti tiwane mvura padhuze nyangwe ishoma.
Tinoda kungotenda nemufaro mukuru.
Tichando farao. Tichifara ende tiri kufara nokuti hakuchashaikwi mvura mumbazve. Asi nhasi tose tinongori pedo nechibhorani chedu.
I think that's a pretty awesome story. It's one of my favorites. We've got a selection of story videos like that available on our website for people to stream or to download. You are welcome to share them with your communities because, they're all amazing and inspiring. I want to shift now to talk a little bit closer to home because I know for leaders in churches, you guys have a lot on your plate. You're always busy, you've got a lot of demands on your time, and are always looking for ways to link people up with the gospel, link people up with an understanding of what God is inviting us into. So I want to chat a bit about how Safe Water can support you guys to meet your goals as local church leaders or as leaders in our broader movement as well. So I want to introduce you to Sienna. This is a photo of Sienna and her mum Susie in Gwemvurutjena village in Zimbabwe. Sienna and Susie came on our partner discovery visit in 2024. They came across to Zimbabwe with us to see the impacts of the projects that they'd been fundraising for. Sienna is also part of my local church, and it was great to be able to share that experience with her and with Susie. Since coming back from Zimbabwe in May last year, Sienna's taken on a much more active leadership role in our church. She's now doing an internship in children's and families ministry, and she has really stepped into a whole new expression of her faith, and it's been really exciting to see. And this is because of the people and the experience, the people she met and the experiences she had on this discovery trip, which started from her participation in Safe Water September. She's a really passionate advocate for Safe Water September. She's really keen to get people at church, to get people in her school networks involved. It's really inspiring to see. So that's my encouragement to all of you that if you are looking for new young leaders, new people to take on internship roles, new people to step into leadership, get them started with Safe Water September. I say that about 50% facetiously because it is a really positive experience and a really good opportunity for young people to learn leadership skills, get an experience of what it's like to organise their peers, how churches work, how they can get the word out into a community, all of these things. Another example that I want to share with you is from Horsham Church of Christ. Horsham has been participating in Safe Water September for a few years, and last year as a church together they raised more than $3,000 for safe water projects. Their generations pastor Tanika has put together a video talking about what they did and how it impacted their community. So I'll hand you over to Tanika now, and she can tell you a bit about that.
Hi everyone, my name's Tanika and I'm the Generations Pastor at Horsham Church of Christ. I'm also a challenge taker of Safe Water September. It is for every age and every stage. It's great for kids who want to participate, for youth who want to take on the challenge, for adults, for families to do it together. You can do it with your housemates, do it with your workmates. You can just do it individually if you like, or you can join the team or create your own team or whoever it is. So it's something for everyone. Safe water solutions is a really important thing in our world and everyone agrees with that. I trust Global Mission Partners. It's not just a name to me. I know some of the names and faces behind the name and the hard work that they do. And I have a deep appreciation for those people who are doing that work now, but also the rich heritage and history that Global Mission Partners have. This is great for non-Christians to be involved in, or for us as Christians to invite those who maybe don't identify with our faith to join us on, and it can lead to great conversations about caring for the world and caring for people and justice and essentially who Jesus is and his heart for his people. And so you just never know where things like this lead. It's an incredibly well communicated, highly organized, extremely fun and generous fundraiser. I think I have badges, I have a drink bottle, I've had a t-shirt in the past. There's just so much to enjoy, and to receive, but also to give by being a part of this fundraiser. One of the parents last year, one of our youth who took up the challenge, she was so blown away by how well organized this fundraiser was and how her son had received something in the mail, and she was just like, wow. So Safe Water September is an easy yes, but what I like to consider as well is not just, okay, let's do it, but how can we do it well, and how can we engage people, and not just those who want to take up the challenge personally, but those around those people, and then those who are around us as the people of God in this town, and who is not involved, who could be involved. I did a Google search a couple of years ago and discovered that most women and children walk an average of 6 kilometers for clean drinking water. That's a global average. I'm sure many people don't walk that far, and I'm sure many people walk a lot further. But that was something tangible for me. And so in 2023, we had our first Safe Water September walk for those who were taking up the challenge. And so we did that on a Friday night in our youth time, and kind of started at the church, walked this big loop, and then ended up back at the church for supper. It was a great time of trying to encourage conversation about, imagine if this was your life, or the impact that we're making by helping people not have to walk this distance, or actually, just trying to engage in those conversations. And I think we thought, yeah, that worked pretty well. When we were thinking about Safe Water September in 2024, we already had some youth and some leaders who were keen to do that walk again. And so as a leader, you go, yeah, how can I encourage and support my team? I was also thinking, how can we make this even more impacting? And so I reached out to 2 other youth leaders or youth pastors from other denominations, 2 other churches in town. And I shared with them this idea. What about we have a big walk through town? And this is why Safe Water September, we're going to fundraise for Safe Water Solutions in countries overseas. And I just shared the vision with them, and they said, yeah. So we joined all our youth groups together for the Friday night, and we started at Horsham Church of Christ. We have sausage sizzles so that people just from church who didn't want to walk could come, and then gathered together. I shared a little bit about why we're walking, gave all the kids a map, and then said, see you at the other side. If you need someone, look at the people in the fluoro vests, they're your leaders. And we left our church and then walked along the river, and basically we mapped it in a very roundabout way, because it's not 6 kilometers to the other end of town. Horsham is not that big. But we just kind of went around a bit. We stopped at the Lutheran church as a bit of a water station, and they bought supper. It was fantastic. Full support from the leaders there. Absolutely loved it. And then from there, it was now definitely dark, and we just headed up one of the main streets all the way up to the local Pentecostal church, and they just had the whole place decked out as our finish line. And we had jelly cups, like blue jelly, and so they could eat that, and then water, and then there was game tables, and we gave out some certificates. So like ridiculous certificates, like walked with, style, or wore the most blue. That was another thing. You had to dress up in blue. But yeah, there was just a whole bunch of fun, a whole lot of fun. What came out of this, one being just a greater awareness and deeper conversation. This fundraiser has helped build a greater unity between the youth groups in our town and between different churches. I think the ownership around Safe Water September, there's for 2 years now been teens saying, oh, next year when we do Safe Water September, or next year when we go on that walk, or I don't know if we'll do a walk again, but it's just, what is that tangible thing that they can own, that experience that's their experience that they can invite others to. We want to see a kingdom impact in Bangladesh, Zimbabwe and Vanuatu, and we also want to see a kingdom impact here at home. And so I invite you to consider what this can look like in your local context, and definitely consider how you can be involved in Safe Water September.
Thank you for that, Tanika. That was fantastic. So I hope you're as encouraged by that as I am. Horsham truly went above and beyond, but I think it's a really good demonstration of how Safe Water September doesn't need to just be a fundraiser where people are doing an activity and other people are giving money. It can be a whole community activity. It can be a whole community cause, and it can also be something that can as you saw in Horsham, unite different churches together behind a cause. So I want to quickly touch on some of the things that Safe Water September has to offer different age groups within church communities, within your community. So for grade 5s to 6s, sort of upper primary ages, obviously depending on your group, your individual kids, you can start to ask questions about why is water important? What does it play? What role does it play in our lives? And start to look at where water might appear in the Bible and what role it plays in the stories of the people of God. For early high school or mid-high school, start to pivot the conversation to a bit more of an intentional focus around the concept of poverty. What barriers do communities internationally and even within Australia face in ending poverty, and what role does water play in that? And most importantly, what does the Bible have to say about poverty, and what does Jesus have to say about it? For upper high school and beyond, start to think about, well, we live in a world where we have decided that this is a human right. This is something that every person deserves access to. So what does that mean? What impact does that have? What role does water play in bigger conversations around global justice and equality? And how does the Bible inform our approach to complex and knotty problems around the world? We have some resources to help you facilitate some of these conversations and to help run the challenge itself and maximize the impact on your young people. So I'm going to take us now over to the website. Let me just make sure that this is going to work because I've got such a good record today. So over here, you can see this is the Safe Water September website at safewaterseptember.org.au. This is the landing page. You'll find, as you scroll down, an overview of the challenge, people and groups who have already signed up, a bit of explanation about what's going on, and down the bottom is the blog with some stories and information. This will be updated regularly throughout the challenge. I'm just going to draw your attention up the top to the resources tab. So you come over here to the resources page. We've got our 2025 promotional video that gives a really quick snapshot of what the challenge is about and the impact it has. You can stream this on YouTube or download the video for your own use from our Google Drive. And here we have a series of stories. And again, we'll continue to add to this as the campaign progresses. But all these stories are available for you to stream or to download. If you keep scrolling down, we have some written resources, presentations, some social media resources and guides. Things that I want to particularly draw your attention to are these studies. We have 3 Bible studies and 1 school study, which is a bit more values-based rather than Bible-based for anyone in a state school. These studies are resources that you can use to open the Bible with young people, but young people of all ages, adults, elderly people, everyone. Each of these studies has Bible stories, activities, games, and questions, and they are more or less ready to run. These 2 here, Let's Talk About Water and Development Concepts. These are 4-part Bible studies, and each session follows a similar flow of grounding, worship, activity, discussion, reflection. This one over here, Where Water Meets Climate, this is a one-shot study, just a 1-session Bible study following a similar format. So all of those studies are available for you to use throughout September in the lead up or as a follow-up if that works better for you. So here's a few suggestions, and they are only suggestions, about how you might utilize some of these resources depending on the age group of the people that you're working with. If you're working with primary schoolers or upper primary schoolers, I'd be going to the simulation game, which was under the resources just above the studies section on the website. The simulation game is a fun, interactive activity that you can run with a kids ministry group or a youth group or a small group even. Gets people active, gets people moving, gets people to have just this really tiny little insight into what it's like having to collect water regularly, some of the dangers and difficulties that face people collecting water. And it's just a whole lot of fun. For the next age group, up your early high schoolers, early to mid high schoolers, I'd be looking at running the simulation game and potentially dipping into Bible Study 1, which is the Let's Talk About Water. That study takes people through some key stories in the Bible where water plays a role, and looks at what impact water has on the way we live, and potentially more impactfully what impact not having water has on communities. For your upper high school through to wherever you want to stop, young adults, seniors, anyone, the second Bible study, the Development Concepts one, has a bit more of a look at some of the theological underpinnings of development work, and also takes a bit more of a direct look at approaches that our partners take when it comes to designing and implementing projects. I would also be encouraging you to create opportunities for young leaders to help organise whatever's going on for Safe Water September, whether that's running the simulation game or organising an additional fundraiser or an activity, something like that. And finally, we have planned for 2026 another partner discovery visit. So we'll be aiming to head back to Zimbabwe probably around mid-year next year. And that's something that could be really beneficial for young people who are passionate about Safe Water September, to get a first-hand glimpse of what they've been supporting. There'll be more information about that trip coming out towards September and beyond. So what are the next steps? If you're thinking about running Safe Water September in your church, the first thing you need to do is head to the website, safewaterseptember.org.au, sign up and create your own account and a team. In order to create a team, you have to have your own account. The website will guide you through that process, start to finish. You can do it all in one, or you can create your account and then come back and create your team later. Once you have your team set up, your team will have a unique URL. Save that link. It's the best place for people to find your team and join your team directly, and also to donate to your team. And the third step is to think about what other elements of the challenge you might like to draw on. Do you want to show some of the story videos in your services or in your gatherings? Do you want to plan the simulation game as a youth group night? Do you want to do the Bible studies? Or do you want to book a Global Mission Partners speaker to come and talk about Safe Water September, talk about the challenge, talk about the impacts in your school, or to run a workshop on all these topics? We'd be more than happy to come and visit if time allows. On that note, there's support available the entire time to plan and run activities. My role is to support you as a leader of young people. So happy to chat, talk through ideas, organize things, or even come out and visit if possible. We'll also be running advocate training sessions online for young people or for leaders of young people who want to brainstorm ideas for fundraising, for engagement, for taking their Safe Water September challenge to the next level. These sessions are planned for July 10 and 24 this year, and more information will go up on the website shortly. You can always call the Global Mission Partners office or email me directly. I'm more than happy to chat in any way that works for you. So yeah, I hope that's been informative. I hope that's been encouraging. If you have any questions, feel free to chuck up your hand and we can chat through them now. Otherwise, call or email me anytime in the next, until September and beyond. I'm always happy to chat. So I'll just pause now if you've got any questions. Beautiful. If you think of anything feel free to get in touch. But thanks so much for taking time out of your day to be with us today. Thanks for being part of this, and I do hope that it's been encouraging. I hope you'll join us as part of the Safe Water September team this year. Have a wonderful rest of the day.